Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Flies is a 1990 American survival drama film directed by Harry Hook and starring Balthazar Getty, Chris Furr, Daniel Peepoli, and James Batchdale. It was produced by Lewis M. Allen and written by J. Presson Allen under the pseudonym Sarah Schiff, based on the 1954 book Lord of the Flies, by William Golding. It is the second film adaptation of the book, after Lord of the Flies, 1963. The film differs in many ways from both its predecessor film and the novel. Lord of the Flies centers on Ralph mainly, as the children try to initiate a society after crash landing on an uncharted island, but things go awry. The film was released on March 16, 1990, by Columbia Pictures. Upon and since its release, the film has received mixed reviews, generally more negative than its 1963 counterpart. Most critics praise the film's performances and scenery but center upon the film's deviations from the novel as a central flaw. It was also a box office bomb, grossing $13 million domestically. Plot: an aircraft carrying 24 American military school cadet boys returning home ditches near an uninhabited jungle island in the Pacific Ocean. Captain Benson, the pilot of the plane and the only adult survivor, is seriously injured and delirious. During the night, Simon, the most independent cadet, finds a river and notifies the other boys, which they all drink from and explore the island afterwards. Meanwhile on the beach, an overweight cadet nicknamed Piggy, finds a conch seashell and takes it to the grouped cadets, who adopt it to signal the right to speak and be heard by the group. The senior cadet, Cadet Colonel Ralph, organizes a meeting to discuss surviving their predicament. Ralph and another of the older boys, Jack, emerge dominant. In an impromptu vote Ralph is elected the group's official leader. They start a fire using Piggy's glasses to try and alert any passing craft. Things go smoothly for a while, but tensions soon begin to grow between Ralph and Jack. One night, as they sleep, Jack brings all of his hunters to hunt in the jungle, leaving no one watching the fire. The fire goes out, preventing a passing helicopter from noticing them. Ralph confronts Jack for failing to keep it going. During the ensuing fight, Jack, tired of listening to Ralph and Piggy, leaves and forms his own camp, taking many of the boys with him. As more and more boys defect to Jack's side, Captain Benson goes feral and hides in a cave. Several boys mistake him for a monster in the cave's darkness. One night, Jack and his savages steal the group's survival knife. Piggy's glasses are trampled in the commotion, breaking one lens. Expecting to be rescued, Ralph's civilized leadership establishes a permanent signal fire to alert passing ships of their presence on the island. Not expecting or wanting to be rescued, Jack's savage leadership adapts to circumstance. He establishes his camp as spear-bearing hunters who provide meat for both camps. They kill a wild pig and leave its head as an offering to the monster that they believe is in the cave. Eventually, identical twins Sam and Eric, two of Ralph's friends, leave him to join Jack's tribe, leaving Ralph with only Piggy and Simon left. Meanwhile, Simon finds the pig's head on the stick. He then uses a glow stick to explore the cave and discovers the corpse of Captain Benson. Simon realizes the boys mistook Captain Benson for a monster and runs to the beach in an attempt to alert them of his discovery, but his waving of the glow stick frightens the other boys, who mistake him for the monster and stab him to death with their spears. The following morning, Ralph blames himself and Piggy for not stopping the hunters from killing Simon. Afterwards, Jack tells his gang that the monster can come in any different form. Jack and the savages raid Ralph's camp and steal Piggy's glasses. Piggy and Ralph travel to Jack's camp at Castle Rock, attempting to call a meeting using the conch. Piggy insists that everyone be sensible and work together, but Jack's savages refuse to listen. As Piggy speaks, Roger pushes a boulder off a cliff which falls on Piggy's head, killing him instantly. Ralph swears revenge, but Jack and his hunters drive Ralph away by throwing rocks at him. Later that night, Ralph secretly returns to Castle Rock to visit Sam and Eric, who warn him that the hunters will chase after Ralph on Jack's orders. The following morning, Jack and his hunters begin setting the jungle on fire to force Ralph out of hiding and kill him. Just barely dodging the spreading fire and Jack's hunters, Ralph makes a desperate run to the sea. He falls onto the beach where he encounters a U.S. Marine Corps officer as the hunters stop. The officer asks, "What are you boys doing?" A horrified Jack and his hunters watch in stunned silence and reflect upon their savage behavior while Ralph breaks into tears. More military helicopters arrive on the island after having seen the fire. Comments. Lord of the Flies is an allegorical and philosophical analysis of the human condition, exploring the nature of good and evil, the fragility of civilization in the face of savagery, and the roles of authority and social order, through the story of children who become violent and brutal when stranded on a deserted island. Human nature and civilization. The novel questions whether humans are inherently good or evil, suggesting that civilization is a superficial veil that represses wild and selfish impulses that arise when social structures and reason break down. The beast and fear. The beast that the children fear represents the wild and primal impulses within each individual. Fear and desire, rather than reason, guide them towards savagery and violence. Order versus chaos. The play contrasts the pursuit of democratic and rational order, represented by Ralph and the conch, with the desire for authoritarian and anarchic power, represented by Jack, showing how societies can descend into chaos and brutality without a solid structure. The island functions as a microcosm of society at large, where the pristine environment transforms into a dystopia, reflecting how human nature can corrupt even the purest environment. Characters. Ralph represents reason and democratic order. Jack symbolizes the desire for power, anarchy, and savagery. Piggy embodies intelligence and rationality, which are vulnerable and often oppressed. Simon represents sensitivity and deep understanding. Historical context. The novel was written in the midst of World War II and the Cold War, which influenced its pessimism about human nature and the decline of civilization. The destruction of civilization and the fear of nuclear war in the outside world reinforced the metaphor of social disintegration. Conclusion. Lord of the Flies is a warning about the human capacity for violence and cruelty, suggesting that goodness is not a natural state but something fragile that requires constant effort and social discipline to maintain. The work invites reflection on the importance of community, cooperation, and respect for rules to prevent savagery and barbarism from prevailing. The story's suggestion is that within humans there is evil, and this is inherent to their nature and very essence. That is, one cannot talk about humans without touching on their evil. Here, a serious question arises as to whether humans have goodness, and the answer is clearly yes. The story itself shows it. There is a lot of goodness in children at first. In my personal opinion, human beings are born without evil or goodness. When they grow up, it depends on each person's inclination. In the story, we see that goodness and order dominate, but evil emerges within us, and this is very seductive, much more so than goodness. It is also more contagious and spreads quickly, leading to chaos. Within you, you have both. You decide which dominates you. I'll leave it here. I hope you give me your comments. Goodbye.